Hello and welcome to the Minimum Competence episode for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. I'm your host for today, Andrew Leahy, a tax and technology attorney from New Jersey. On today's episode, we have Comey's indictment, shutdown-related layoff litigation, and Turkey's $100 million pitch to settle the U.S. Hulk Bank sanctions case. Let's remember, those who dream by day are cognizant of many things which escape those who dream only by night, and read today's legal news. On this day in legal history, October 8th, 1934, Bruno Richard Hauptmann was indicted for the murder of 20-month-old Charles Lindbergh Jr., the son of famed aviator Charles Lindbergh. The case, often referred to as the crime of the century, began in March 1932 when the child was kidnapped from the Lindbergh home in Hopewell, New Jersey. Despite a ransom being paid, the boy's body was found weeks later less than 5 miles from the house, sparking a national outcry and a complex investigation. The break in the case came in 1934 when marked ransom money was traced to Hauptmann, a German carpenter living in the Bronx. A search of his home turned up over $14,000 of the ransom cash, along with tools and wood experts claimed matched the homemade ladder used in the abduction. Though Hauptmann maintained his innocence, insisting the money belonged to a now-deceased friend, the evidence was enough for a grand jury to indict him for kidnapping and murder. His trial, which began in January of 1935, was a media sensation, held in Flemington, New Jersey, under intense public scrutiny. The prosecution leaned heavily on circumstantial evidence, handwriting analysis, and expert testimony regarding the ladder construction. The defense challenged much of the state's forensic claims, but Hauptmann was ultimately convicted and sentenced to death. He was executed in the electric chair in 1936, despite appeals and ongoing doubts about the strength of the case. The Hauptmann trial shaped public perceptions of forensic science, media influence, and due process, and contributed to the passage of the Federal Kidnapping Act, also known as the Lindbergh Law, which made kidnapping a federal crime when victims are taken across state lines. Former FBI Director James Comey is set to appear in federal court today on charges of making false statements and obstructing a congressional investigation. The case, viewed by many as politically motivated, is the first brought by the Trump-aligned Justice Department against one of Trump's high-profile critics. Comey is accused of lying during a 2020 Senate hearing by denying he authorized FBI employees to anonymously leak information about an unspecified federal investigation, which is believed to be connected to Hillary Clinton. The charges were filed after Trump installed Lindsay Halligan, a former insurance attorney with no prior prosecutorial experience, as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Halligan reportedly proceeded despite career prosecutors advising against it due to lack of evidence. 2 outside prosecutors were assigned to handle the case, suggesting internal pushback. Comey maintains his innocence and has demanded a trial. Legal observers and over 1,000 former DOJ officials from both parties have condemned the prosecution, calling it a politically driven attack on the rule of law. The indictment comes after years of Trump publicly demanding prosecutions of his political enemies, including Comey, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, and John Bolton. Comey was previously fired by Trump while leading the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, an action that led to the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller. U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston, who previously blocked a Trump administration plan for mass federal layoffs, will now preside over a new lawsuit challenging potential layoffs tied to the ongoing partial government shutdown. The American Federation of Government Employees, or AFGE, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, or AFS-CME, successfully argued that this new case involves the same legal issues and parties as their earlier suit, warranting Ilston's continued oversight. The unions argue that laying off federal workers during a shutdown is unlawful and not an essential government service. They're seeking to block such layoffs, warning that allowing the administration to move forward without court intervention could result in conflicting legal rulings if handled by different judges. Ilston's previous ruling in May held that President Trump could not reorganize or downsize federal agencies without congressional approval, but that decision was paused by the Supreme Court in July. In response, the administration scaled back the layoffs after many workers accepted early retirement or buyouts. In the current case, the unions claim new memos from the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, and the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, unlawfully permit agencies to lay off staff during the shutdown. The Trump administration has not yet implemented the threatened firings, but has blamed Democrats for the funding lapse. The White House and DOJ have not commented on the ongoing litigation. In September of this year, during a meeting at the White House, Turkish officials proposed a $100 million settlement to resolve the U.S. criminal case against state-owned Halk Bank, sources told Reuters. The settlement offer reportedly included a key condition: Halk Bank would not have to admit guilt. The bank is facing serious charges in the U.S., including fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy for allegedly helping Iran evade economic sanctions by funneling billions through illicit financial channels. The case, brought in 2019, has long strained U.S.-Turkey relations, which were already damaged after Turkey's purchase of Russian S-400 missile systems led to U.S. sanctions and its removal from the F-35 fighter jet program. While the Trump-Erdogan meeting signaled warmer diplomatic ties, it's unclear how U.S. officials responded to the settlement offer or whether discussions have continued. On October 7th, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear Halk Bank's appeal, allowing the criminal prosecution to proceed. In response, the bank stated it was still pursuing a diplomatic resolution and emphasized ongoing talks aimed at reconciliation between the U.S. and Turkey. Erdogan has publicly denounced the charges and raised the issue during his recent visit with Trump. Prosecutors allege Halk Bank transferred over $20 billion in restricted Iranian funds, disguised transactions through front companies, and fabricated documents to mask oil-for-gold trades as food shipments. Although the floated settlement amount is far lower than previous penalties levied against European banks for similar offenses, legal experts suggest a final deal, if reached, could involve a much larger payment. And with that, as always, I thank you so much for listening to Minimum Competence, your daily news podcast for lawyers. If you're looking for more than Minimum Competence, links to further reading and all the topics touched on today are in the show notes. And reviews go a long way towards helping new listeners to find our show. If you have a moment, leave a rating or review on your podcast player. We'd sure appreciate it. And if you know someone that might be interested in the story we cover, consider sending them the episode. But remember, nothing here should be construed as legal advice because it is certainly never that. Minimum Competence is available at minimumcomp.com and wherever it is you get your finely crafted podcasts. If you haven't checked out the website in a while, give it a look. There are complete transcripts and resources for each episode and its corresponding segments, as well as an opportunity to receive new episodes in email, newsletter, form. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and until then, remember, words have no power to impress the mind without the exquisite horror of their reality.